On today's show, it's our NBA awards predictions, but with a fun wrinkle. We're going to choose between FanDuel's 2 odds-on favorites or the field for each one of these awards, plus make our own picks for some made-up awards like most overrated player. Should be a fun one. It's Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. I'm Wes Goldberg here with Adam Mares. However, you might be tuning in on YouTube, Odyssey, or your favorite podcast app. Thanks so much for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. All right, so we're going to do NBA awards predictions, Adam, but the way I'm going to frame this for us is that I'm just going to give us 3 options for each award based on FanDuel's odds. So you're going to get to choose between the players with the 2 best odds for each award or the field, all right? Or you get to choose the field.
Okay.
Right. And then, of course, once we get into the field, we could start talking about who that field might be. But I also have some made-up awards that we'll get to at the end that I'm excited about. So my only question for you, Adam, is do you want to start with MVP and defend your guy, Nikola Jokic, or do you want to wait for the MVP talk?
Why don't we start? We'll save the best for first.
We'll save the best for first. We'll start with MVP. So according to FanDuel, Nikola Jokic is the favorite for MVP. Odds are at plus 430 right now. Luka Doncic is second. Odds plus 550. Do you like Jokic? Do you like Luka? Or do you like the field, Adam?
I like Jokic. I think second would be the field. You look at Luka and think, are we certain they're going to be a great team? Are they going to be good enough to, kind of enter this conversation? I don't know. I think the odds are pretty strong against them that they're going to have, a high enough seed and look impressive enough throughout the year. So I think that's going to work against them. And then you look at the field and you think Giannis would be a guy that's competing with him. Well, he just got Damian Lillard, who will help split the vote. You got chaos in Philadelphia. Maybe Jason Tatum gets in there, but I look at this Nuggets team. I expect them to be a 1 seed. I look at Jokic. He's kind of had the same game every game for the last 4 seasons. It's a really good game, and I think he'll do that again all year. So I like Jokic here.
Jokic is really helped by the fact that Joel Embiid won it last year. He didn't, and he was the best player in the world, and he didn't get the MVP. And that's nothing against Joel Embiid. I just think that playoff run, it shouldn't matter in the context of MVP for this coming regular season, but it does. It always does. That stuff always matters. And I think people are ready to kind of reward him again. It would be his 3rd MVP, right? So that's up there with some all-time greats, but Nikola Jokic is on track to be an all-time great, especially now that he's got that ring. So I love Jokic as the favorite there. If I were to venture a guess and kind of go into that field conversation. By the way, before I do that, actually, how many games do the Mavericks have to win for Luka to win MVP? Because it feels like a lot in the West, right? It feels like it has to be 53, 54 wins would kind of get him into that conversation for real, because the Nuggets are going to win a ton of games.
I think it's less about a number. It's more about where do they fit into the NBA hierarchy. Because I don't think they're going to be a tier 1 team, where you say, okay, these are the favorites, it's theirs to lose. I don't even know that they're going to be a tier 2 team. They're like, hey, the Cinderella could upset, or they're in the conversation. I think they're probably looking at a tier 3 and maybe even being a tier 4 play-in caliber team. So that's why I think it's tough for them. They have to look the part. And that's just going to be tough to do. We know Luka's going to put up good numbers.
Yep.
But I just think that they're going to have an uphill battle for their seeding.
If I were to go with a long shot, I really like Devin Booker at plus 1,900. Are we sure Devin Booker isn't Phoenix's best player?
No, I'm sure he is. I've been on this one for about a year now. Going up against Denver going up against the Phoenix Suns last year, I can tell you which guy was causing Denver more problems. It was clearly Devin Booker. So I like that as a stealth bet, but I do think there's a little bit of the Giannis factor where it's going to be split a little bit. Even if he is the best player, it's close enough to Kevin Durant, maybe even a Bradley Beal, that it'll be hard.
Yeah, if Phoenix ends up running away with the number 1 seed and this offense is just ridiculous, we might feel the need to reward somebody on that team, and that it might be Devin Booker, right? And also it's his team. KD joined him in Phoenix. Bradley Beal joined him in Phoenix. So I think that's part of it. Again, at plus 1,900, I really like. Same odds for Kevin Durant, by the way. Kevin Durant also at plus 1,900. I find that interesting. Giannis at plus 600. It's just worth mentioning him. And then yesterday's last season's MVP, Joel Embiid, plus 850. Jason Tatum plus 750. I don't know.
Well, real quick, what would have to happen for Embiid to win it this year?
James Harden gets traded. The Sixers look like world beaters, and it's all because of Joel Embiid. And they win like 58 to 60 games. I mean, that's what it would probably take. And it's not out of the realm of possibility. Like, that's like James Harden's probably not playing for them again. So there's that. I do have somebody that I like for a Sixer for a different award, but we'll get to that here in a second. Let's go to Rookie of the Year. Here. Odds-on favorite, not going to surprise you. Victor Wembanyama at plus 110. Back up behind him is Chet Holmgren at plus 320. Those are your two options. Would you go with those two guys or the field, Adam?
Man, I think I'm clearly going with one of those two guys, but which one? I think if you're making the value bet, you probably get better value out of the Chet bet, just the odds there. But I just think Wemby is going to be a storyline all year. He's going to play enough minutes. He's going to be in front of people's faces. There seems to be an appetite for sharing things that he does on the court, which is important. I mean, let's say both
social media wise,
both Chet and Wemby have the exact same stat line and the exact same highlight reel. You're going to see Wemby's. You might not see Chet's. I'm going to go with Wembanyama. I think he gets this one. I do think he is going to be a major impact player. Like, I don't think I'm not trying to say it's just that he's going to get the highlights and the boost and the hype boost. Right. I think he is going to be a worthy candidate of it, but the tiebreaker will be that I do think that he's going to be in front of our faces nonstop.
It's a great point. He's already in front of our faces nonstop, and the games haven't even started counting yet, right? So the other thing with Chet is the ball's going to be in SGA's hands so much in Oklahoma City, and they're going to want to get Jalen Williams involved and all these other guys too. It's Wemby's team in San Antonio. Yeah, you've got like Devin Vassell, you've got Keldon Johnson. They like Sohan. It's Wemby's team, and they're gonna try to get him going. The only thing that could hurt Wemby here, if you bet against him, you're basically betting on an injury to him.
Yeah.
Right. Does he not meet the 65 game threshold? I think is a real question. I think it's a real concern with him.
Probably a real concern for Chet too, though.
Totally fair. Scoot Henderson's there at plus 370 if we start venturing into the field. And then after that, I mean, you got Brandon Miller, fourth best odds at plus 2,800. So there's a clear top three here. Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, Keontae George at plus 5,500. Utah really likes him. So I don't know. There's some guys there, but ultimately, I think I'm going to go Wemby. The only way he doesn't win it is if he doesn't play 65 games.
All right, let's. Here's one other scenario where he doesn't win it. I think he still does. Let's say he is the definitive, unanimous Rookie of the Year through the first 2 months of the season. Chet has a really good year. Then all of a sudden you look up and you say, oh my God, does Oklahoma City have 50 wins? Did Chet start 72 games this year and on a team that's going to be a 5 seed in the West? Yeah. Maybe, hey, wait a second. And then there's going to be one advanced stat that says Chet's better. It's
literally the Jalen Williams argument for last year over Paolo.
This is and honestly, it's a good argument. By the way, this is not a bad argument. I think there's a real case for this. So I think that there could be a scenario like that where the late season, the last 6 weeks, there's a real narrative shift to, hey, but Chet's doing it and making an impact on, a team or doing it at a higher level, whatever it is.
And again, if Wemby doesn't play those 65 games, but Chet does, and plus the team's winning, I mean, that could be enough. I don't mind the Chet bet as a long shot bet, but it feels like it'll be hard for Wemby not to win it at this point. Defensive Player of the Year. A ton of debate there. That's MVP is like your award, right? That's the award that Denver Nuggets people get to argue about and all that. Defensive Player of the Year, that's a Miami award. That's one that there's a lot of bitterness simmering here in South Florida. Okay. We're going to debate that one after this here on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, all of these NBA awards that we're talking about. Adam, this whole podcast, we're talking about FanDuel odds and FanDuel lines. We already talked about Rookie of the Year. Chet Holmgren has a good long shot. MVP, there's a ton of good odds on the board there. You could bet those over at FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. We're going to talk about the team that's going to be your first one eliminated from your League Pass rankings, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite teams to watch this upcoming regular season. It starts next week, Adam. Games that count coming up. But we're going to continue along with our NBA awards predictions. Let's move on to Defensive Player of the Year. So according to FanDuel, Jaren Jackson Jr. is the favorite for DPOY at plus 500. Evan Mobley, second best odds at plus 700. Do you like JJJ? Do you like Mobley, or do you like the field?
I think I might like the field on this one. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. has taken a bit of a narrative hit, right or wrongfully so. I think he's taken a little bit with the postseason and then the Olympics. Or I'm sorry, the FIBA, what was it this summer? World Cup. With the World Cup.
Yep.
So I think he's taken a little bit of a narrative hit. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. Mobley, I think, is really good, but I want to see the leap from him before I pencil him in there. Like, I think he is capable of winning this one. There's no question. But I want to see the leap from him, and I'm not sure if it's coming this year. Cleveland's a team I'm a little bit unsure about what direction they're going to go. So I'm going to take the field. I think there's Giannis out there. You've got the Draymond, the incumbents, the Draymonds, and so forth. You've even got a Marcus Smart. I know he's probably not a candidate for this, but does he cannibalize some of the votes from Jaren Jackson Jr. or take away a little bit of the shine?
Yeah, he doesn't have the Boston media mafia pushing his candidacy this time, so that's going to hurt his case. But I'm going to go field here. First of all, can I short Jaren Jackson Jr.?
We're on the same page on this one, it seems.
I would love to short. Look, and it's nothing against Jaren Jackson Jr., but he won it last year, and if you're talking about back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year award winners, that's rare company, man. Like Rudy Gobert did it in 2018, 2019, right? He's at his peak, he's an all-timer, right? Like this is a guy who is going to have an argument to be in the Hall of Fame, which seems crazy for most people to think about. But based on his defensive stats, he's there. Before him, it was Kawhi when he was playing for San Antonio. Again, an all-timer defender. Before him, it was Dwight Howard from 2008 to 2011, won 3 times in a row. Again, a first ballot Hall of Famer, Dwight Howard, an all-timer defender at that center position. Jaren Jackson Jr. is an awesome defender. He's not peak Gobert. He's not peak Dwight Howard. He's not peak Kawhi. And so I just don't think that he's in that realm to be a back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year unless he takes some sort of dramatic leap this year, which I don't really see that. I don't really see that happening with him. So yeah. I'm going the field, and you know my guy here. I'm going Bam at plus 1,200.
Let's go. On the show, I love our agendas.
He's the best defender in the NBA. He's been a candidate for DPOY over every year for the last 3 or 4 years. He's got to get it one time. He got robbed the year that Marcus Smart won it. Yeah. When the Heat were the number 1 seed in the East. But I think he's talking with him, being around the team, like he is out for blood. He blocked Jaren Jackson 4 times in their preseason game last weekend. You don't think that was a message? Of course it was. I think he's going to be out there. He's really going to win it. And I think he's going to start actually padding his stats like on purpose to try to do it instead of just being like this team first kind of, I'm only doing it to win. Like, he's like, you know what? I'm going to go out here, chase some blocks just because this is what the people want.
Selfish Bam, I'm for it. Look, man, he's a phenomenal defender. Last year in the finals, he held Jokic to 30 points and 14 rebounds a game. I mean,
I know. Put him in the Hall of Fame, baby.
No, he's a good. Honestly, it's a good pick.
It's a good pick. I know. All right, let's move on from Defensive Player of the Year. Let's go to Most Improved. I don't love the Most Improved.
I know, especially predicting it is kind of the funniest.
Do you want to just skip it? I'm down to just skip it.
I want to hear who it is. We'll go really quick. Let's go really quick. 20 seconds.
20 seconds. Mikal Bridges is the favorite via
FanDuel. He's already made the improvement. This is why the award's dumb. He made the improvement last year, but now it's the narrative.
It's the second half of last season improvement award of the season that doesn't count. Mikal Bridges plus 1,000, Tyrese Maxey at plus 1,100, or the field. Who do you got?
Man, Tyrese Maxey's an interesting one. I don't know. I don't think I'm buying it though. I do like this Mikal Bridges hype. I think it is weird to me because it's the perfect example of one that doesn't work. He already made the leap, but whatever. We'll give it to him.
I like Maxey. He's going to have the narrative argument. If Harden's out of there and Tyrese Maxey's like, oh, wow, this guy's a star. And it's like, this guy's been the same the entire time. It's just more opportunity. But It's fine because it's a dumb award and I don't really care about thinking about it that much. We're not even doing clutch player. That's stupid. All right. Let's move on to sixth man of the year. If I can find the odds. Here we go. FanDuel, Emmanuel quickly, plus 900 is your favorite for sixth man of the year. Norm Powell, he won it last year, right?
Did he?
I think so. Was it him or Brogdon?
Another one that's hard to pencil in. I don't even know who all is going to be six man yet. Like is Chris Paul on this list? Is that
Chris Paul has the fifth best odds at plus 1700. We don't know if he's coming off the bench or not. He could start most of these games. So Drew Holiday is there at plus 1900. People think that he could be a six man. So, but the FanDuel has Emmanuel Quickly and Norman Powell as your co-favorites at plus 900. Do you like Powell? Do you like Quickly, or do you like the field?
I'm going to take the field on this one. I think this is just always a field bet. Just because you never know who's going to be. There's always a guy that kind of rises into this. Maybe there's a trade or something. So I'm gonna take the field on this one.
I'm going field too. I kind of like Bobby Portis at plus 2300. If Milwaukee wins a bunch of games, it could be like the Malcolm Brogdon effect. It's like that team won a bunch of games. This guy played real minutes for them. Give it to him. Okay. All right. What do we got next? Coach of the year. Another one that's a hot topic here in South Florida. Coach of the year. I think we can already give this award to the favorite, but I'll be interested to see what you thought. Not we. I think the media has basically already done it. But we got Mark Daigneault, the Oklahoma City Thunder coach, at plus 750 as your FanDuel odds-on favorite. Adrian Griffin, the new Bucks coach, who's already having guys leaving his coaching staff, is at plus 900. He's your second favorite. Do you like Daigneault? Do you like Adrian Griffin? Or do you like the field for coach of the year?
I'm going to take the field. I think Daigneault's a great pick. And look, it's again, this is another narrative-based award. And so there's that. But you're telling me Eric Spoelstra is not on the list, and I have a chance to not just take Spoelstra, but to take Spoelstra and 27 other coaches as potential. I'm going to take it. You've got Michael Malone, who might have some momentum this year. You have Vogel, who might be a one seed with Phoenix and might get that bump. You've always got Steve Kerr in the mix. There's a lot of great coaches that are in the field.
Spo, according to 73% of GMs, is the best coach in the league. That is domination. And this is the finals we got. I've argued this whole time. Jimmy Butler was the most important player in the Eastern Conference Finals for basically 2.5 series. Eric Spoelstra was the most important person in the Eastern Conference. He was the most dominant figure in the Eastern Conference bracket. Was Eric Spoelstra. Nikola Jokic was the most dominant person in the Western Conference bracket. They met in the finals. I don't think that that's a coincidence. I don't know how so many people can agree unanimously, essentially, that Spo is the best coach in the NBA, but his odds to win Coach of the Year is at plus 1,600, which is crazy. Yeah. And you know what? I believe it. I'll take the field too here, Adam, but for Daigneault's case, the reason I kind of joke here, and it's not even really joking, that he's basically already been given the award, he's a really good coach. I don't want to take anything away from him, but people love the Thunder. It's like, how many games do the Thunder have to win for Daigneault to win this award? Like 45? Like that's not a hard number to reach, right?
Yeah, it isn't a hard number, but there might be more to it. I mean, he might be graded on a little bit steeper of a curve than that. And I just think that there's some storylines that might, Michael Malone, I think, is a sleeper pick on this one. He's got a championship behind him. He's got a great team, in front of him. And then there is a little bit of a narrative, I don't know how many people know this, but his father, Brendan Malone, a legendary coach, passed away last week. Michael Malone last June became the first father-son duo to win NBA championship rings as a coach. There is a little bit of a narrative behind him. He's a great quote. We know who votes on these awards. He's a great quote. Like, hey, man, there's some momentum I think he can snatch here. So I think the field's a great bet.
Adrian Griffin and Joe Mazzulla.
Adrian Griffin is like, they throw away the second odds there. Like, what are we doing?
They're like, hey, the Bucks might have the best record, so he might just get it. All right, so those are the actual traditional NBA season awards. I came up with a few fun ones here that I want to get to. We'll do that after this. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by the Jase Case program. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world today, and it's important to be prepared. Here in Florida, we get hurricanes and tornadoes all the time. The Jase Case, and these can lead to supply chain shortages, by the way, for medications or the inability to get medications in a timely manner. A lot of people are already feeling these things already. The Jase Case is a personalized emergency medication kit that contains 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can also customize your case and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. Jase Medical now offers customizability for your Jase case with dozens of add-on medications. Choose the medications that best fit you and your family's unique needs. Jase is continually working to expand their medication offerings. In those recent efforts, they've added ivermectin as an option in the Jase case. So if they don't have what you need now when you go check it out, they may have it later. Go to jasemedical.com, enter the code LOCKEDON at checkout for $20 for a $20 discount on your order. That's promo code LOCKEDON at Jase Medical, JASE medical.com. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. All right, before we count down to the weekend, I just got some fun awards that I wanted to throw your way, Adam. So we just did Coach of the Year. What about not Coach of the Year? The not Coach of the Year for the coach who gets everything blamed on him instead of getting all the credit. He gets everything blamed on him, or the Scapegoat of the Year. We can call it that. Mike Budenholzer has won this award every year since 2018, but he's not in the league anymore. I've got your two favorites, and then or you can go the field. All right.
Okay.
Odds-on favorite, according to the Goldberg Sportsbook, is actually sounds like a real sportsbook. Jason Kidd, Joe Mazzulla,
and Jason Kidd. I don't know if
they're the field. Bets. Yeah.
I don't know if they're taking bets, man. That line's got to be too high. I think I'd probably go with Jason Kidd here. I do think Joe Mazzulla makes it an interesting race. So I do think he gave two really good ones. And then if I throw out a dark horse one, I don't know if they'll get enough buzz, but Willie Green, I think, might have some chaos on his hands this year in New Orleans. And coach, always the easiest person to blame, but I got to go Jason Kidd. Like, come on. This is the year.
This is the year, baby. This is actually his pattern of coaching. This is basically his year.
Wait, I got one more, actually.
I have a dark horse also. Yeah.
Oh, who's your dark horse? It might be the same one.
I'm going JB Bickerstaff from Cleveland.
Okay. Oh,
he's already a little bit on the hot seat last year at the playoffs. Like, they couldn't rebound or anything like that. There's high expectations in Cleveland right now. Their over-under on FanDuel is like 49 or something, 49.5, 48.5. If they underperform, if they can't get that mix of Jared Allen and Evan Mobley to work, or even the backcourt mix with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, I think that's also a team under a lot of pressure right now because Donovan Mitchell might not re-sign there. So that's my dark horse is Bickerstaff.
Mine was going to be Tibbs, just because the Knicks, they're similar to Jason Kidd. There's the Tibbs arc, the building arc of, oh my God, look, he's changed the culture to all right, this is getting a little stale and we're not going anywhere. This does feel like this might be the last part of the cycle.
I mean, if not for Kidd, I feel like this would be a really open competition, but it just feels like it's his award to lose or whatever.
It's called the Jason Kidd Award. I mean,
it was called the Mike Budenholzer Award. We're just going to put both of their names on it as we reward this thing. Let's go to let's save that one. Let's go, and I think you're going to like this one. The NBA Hipster Award. All right. This goes to the player that NBA Twitter and NBA Reddit gasses up so much that they actually become overrated. Past winners include Robert Covington, Malcolm Brogdon, Christian Wood, Mike Muscala, OG Anunoby, and the LA Clippers.
Okay.
Who's your pick?
Man, give me yours first. While I wasn't prepared for this one. I got to think about it. Austin Reeves won this one last year. Did he not?
Austin Reeves won this. He won it in the summer also, probably. He could win it. He could actually.
Really good player, man. He's a really good player.
He is a really good player. It has nothing to do with OG Anunoby's a really good player. Yeah. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. And if you read NBA Twitter, it's like, how is this guy not? People treat him like he's Pete Kawhi. My pick is Jaden McDaniels. You and I are all in on the Timberwolves.
Okay. All right. This hurts.
You and I are all on the Timberwolves, and he's going to be a big part of what they do. But NBA Twitter and NBA Reddit, I feel like they love guys who can shoot threes and defend at a high level, but they can't dribble in a straight line, a.k.a. Robert Covington. Like, they love guys like that. There's a prototypical 3-and-D guy. That is Jaden McDaniels. He hustles hard. He gets rebounds. He shot 39% last year from three, which is really high percentage. But then you look that all of his shots basically came from the corner wide open, and it's like, is he really being that impactful? I mean, the shots still count, but I like Jaden McDaniels. I have nothing against Jaden McDaniels, but I have a feeling that we're going to see the Timberwolves win a bunch of games this year because you and I are bullish on Minnesota, and Jaden McDaniels could get a lot of shine because of it and end up being overrated.
Man, you really started out the gate strong with your pick. That's a strong pick. This one, man, I feel like I'm just being hot takey here. You've suckered me into just being a hot take artist.
That's
on
the
this
guard.
one.
That's the goal here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Drew Holiday, and it's not because he's not great. He's phenomenal, but there is such thing as the Boston media machine.
There is.
I think he might be an MVP candidate by the end of the year, just based on the momentum, the narrative momentum here.
An MVP. I forgot. We didn't even mention him for Defensive Player of the Year. He's already won it. They gave it to Marcus Smart. Like, it's already his.
Yeah, it's already his. You're right. They actually.
Oh my God, poor Bam. It's not even fair. Drew Holiday at plus 2,500. Let's go back to that FanDuel ad read. Do that. Just take the money. Just take the money.
But I do think that the joke you're making though is similar to the one. Like, can you imagine Boston might even be a 1 seed this year, and they're going to be like, oh, they brought him in and became a 1 seed. They were a 1 seed last year. What's going on here?
My favorite Boston media mafia narrative was when they were pushing Robert Williams III for Defensive Player of the Year. Then he got hurt, and then they were like, "Actually, let's just give it to Marcus Smart." And then they made it happen, and it's amazing. I almost included Robert Williams III, but I didn't want to be too in my group of past winners. But I didn't want to be too mean to Celtics players.
Here's the real play: bet Yusuf Nurkic, cash out.
Really good one.
Cash out around December 5th or so.
Right.
Like. Ride that till the odds skyrocket, then catch that one out.
That's a really good one. Let's go to the What About Award for the player that we have to include in the conversation for MVP, but doesn't really have a chance to actually win it. I thought about naming this after Kendrick Perkins because it seems to be his job on ESPN is just to say, we should really be talking about blah, blah, blah in terms of MVP. But this guy has no actual chance of winning it. Maybe placing on your ballot. Past winners include Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, and Chris Paul.
Okay. Those are good. That's good.
Who do you like? Who do you like here? I have a couple of guys that I could throw at you.
Yeah, let me hear them.
I'll do it like we did before. I'll give you these two or the field.
Okay.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
He might actually deserve it though.
Exactly. No, I'm with you.
Okay.
That's why. But if the Thunder don't win 50 games, he's going to be a guy who like gets on a ballot but can't actually win it. But we have to keep talking about him. It's like that. Darius Garland. I think there's going to be a lot of Kendrick. What? Yeah, I think there's going to be if
Darius Garland. All right.
If Cleveland wins like 52 games, people are going to be like, we got to talk about Darius Garland, but we don't really. That's the whole point. That's the spirit of the award. Like people are going to be like, we got to talk about him, but they have zero chance of winning. So I'll give you SGA, I'll give you Garland, I'll give you the field.
Man, just those two guys, huh? I'm going to have to take the field because I do feel like there's some other guys here that can steal some of the shine. I mean, De'Aaron Fox. You look up Sacramento's a 2 or 3 seed again, and they're saying, "Hey, De'Aaron Fox is better than all." I really
like that one. Yeah.
And then Tyrese Halliburton. This might be the Tyrese Halliburton. Indiana's a sneaky good seed, and his numbers are always great. So I like those two guys as sneaky. They should be in the conversation, even though they shouldn't.
Halliburton at plus 15,000 right now on FanDuel. That's like just put $1 on there just for fun.
Sprinkle it in.
Sprinkle that baby in. All right, I got one more for you, and it kind of feeds into what we're going to do on our countdown. First team eliminated from League Pass Award. I'll give you 3. I'm going to give you 3 here and the field.
Okay.
The Bulls, the Wizards, the Raptors, or the field.
What was this one for you? Bulls were.
This is first team eliminated from League Pass. So the first team that you're, all right, I've seen enough. I don't need to watch them for the rest of the year. The Chicago Bulls, the Washington Wizards, the Toronto Raptors, or the field.
Man, this is a tough one. I think all of those teams will be eliminated within a month. So I think that there's that. The Chicago, they're not going to make a trade, and they don't really have the assets to do something that surprises us.
And if the Bulls do make a trade, it'll be like, hey, we're moving DeMar DeRozan for picks, so we're not getting any more exciting.
That doesn't sound like what they would do. They would move DeMar DeRozan for, DeMar Sabonis or something. Malcolm Brogdon, like something that's like, what? What are you guys doing? I'm going to take Chicago. Chicago to me is the team that, again, just is so always exactly what they are. They're never a little better, never a little worse. They're just exactly who they are.
They're that Lifetime movie that's always on at 2:00 in the afternoon when you're homesick from school, and you're like, I've seen this one before. It's not even that good to begin with. Why is it always on TV?
Wes always watching Lifetime movies, you guys. This is what he just he tells us.
This is the Chicago Bulls. The Wizards are going to be really tough to watch. The Raptors. If I can throw one dark horse in there, there's a lot of people kind of gassing up Houston as they might be kind of fun to watch. I don't enjoy watching any of those players play except for maybe Jabari Smith Jr. Kind of. I don't need to watch the Dylan Brooks like WrestleMania show every other night. Like, I don't know. I'm just not that interested in watching the Rockets, and they're not going to win a ton of games, I don't think. So they could also be eliminated here. But I think the Bulls are the right pick. All right. It's Friday, which means it's time to count down to the weekend. What do you have for us today, Adam?
Well, I'm looking at the true League Pass teams. Whenever people do these lists, best League Pass teams, they always end up putting on the number one most popular team that has 70 of their games on national television. It's like none of these games are on League Pass. What are you talking about? It doesn't work. So trying to be fair, I did only teams that have 15 or fewer nationally televised games, which somehow also includes NBA TV. So of all the teams that the league is not showing you, which ones are you really going to be wanting to watch?
So the real true League Pass teams. I love it. This is a great idea.
I keep it honest over here. First of all, let me give you 3 honorable mentions. Didn't quite make the cut. I love the Brooklyn Nets. I think Mikal Bridges is interesting. I like to watch. I like Cam Johnson's game a lot. I actually like Spencer Dinwiddie. You were joking earlier about Spencer Dinwiddie. I like Spencer Dinwiddie.
Mikal Bridges or Cam Johnson Mikal Bridges might actually end up being the favorite for the NBA hipster award here. He's good, but he's not a true number one, I don't think.
You've also got Ben Simmons making his return. This team
that's the thing that's interesting for a few weeks. Yeah.
For a few weeks. The Detroit Pistons, I just like Cade Cunningham. I think that they could be a little bit intriguing, but they got enough young guys. And then the Utah Jazz last year, they were very fun for about half the season. So they might be a team worth watching, from time to time. But their honorable mention to get into the top 5, number 5 for me. This might just be me, Wes. It might not be anyone else. The Indiana Pacers.
Oh, you kidding me? Everybody's on the Pacers. Let's go.
Are they? All right.
Yeah. Who doesn't like watching Tyrese Halliburton doing Tyrese Halliburton things? Benedict Mathurin bulldozing his way to the basket.
They've got some spacing this year. Yep. They've got Tice out there. I mean, I'm not a big Obi Toppin guy, but maybe he could
dunk though. He'll get you 30 dunks a year. A few that end up on the highlight reels.
Bruce Brown, same thing. This could be a very fun transition team. I think they're going to be fun. I just think they're going to play a good brand of. I think it's going to be a good brand of basketball that gets out in transition. So I think. Do
you have the national TV games in front of you?
I have how many they have. So for them, they have 6, just 6 nationally televised games.
Halliburton's going to take that leap this year, and he's going to be on the All-Star team, and people are going to be like, "Whoa, we got to watch more Indiana Pacers basketball." All right.
Yeah. They're actually not going to say that, but they should say that, but they won't know to say that. The Minnesota Timberwolves have 10 nationally televised games. I think they're going to be better than
that. You and I are all in on Minnesota. Already, what was that? Thursday night, we had Anthony Edwards dunking and then hitting a 3 on the very next possession. This guy is going to take that leap this year. Everybody's going to want to watch themselves Anthony Edwards. Everybody's going to see these highlights and be like, you know what? I just got to tune into the next Timberwolves game on League Pass just to see what Anthony Edwards is going to do. I love the pick.
Yeah. Number 3, man, I should have put this. This should have been number 5. I'm already mad at my own list. With 12 nationally televised games, the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah, you can move them down to 5.
Here's the thing. 2 years ago, Zion Williamson was getting the Wemby treatment. Hey, we got to get this guy on nationally television. Christmas? Yeah, let's put him on. When he plays, he really is must-see TV, and that hasn't changed, Wes. He's still getting up and dunking. He's still this 300-pound Shaq from the, drive and dunk Shaq kind of guy. He's exciting. I think the NBA just doesn't think he's going to play very much, but if he does, they could be very entertaining. So I don't know. He's
got to play. If he plays 65 games, for instance, number 3 makes a lot of sense. I mean, in the preseason, it looks great. He had 4 steals the other night in 14 seconds. It was crazy. Yeah. It was so, I mean, the Zion thing is always interesting. But I don't know that they have a lot of other guys that I'm super interested in watching anymore. So I don't know. All right, what's next?
Next, the Oklahoma City Thunder. 13 nationally televised games, which I'm kind of surprised this isn't higher. This has to be market size. Because this is a team that I think everybody agrees is fun. Shea is incredibly fun. Jalen Williams, incredibly fun. Chet, really, is he that much less interesting than Wembanyama? I think they're very similar.
We were so hyped on Chet before he got going into his rookie year, and then he got hurt, and then we kind of forgot the hype, and then we sort of redistributed all that hype to Victor Wembanyama, to your point.
So I think this is a team that's going to be extremely fun to watch, and only 13 nationally televised games.
Of those 3, who's your favorite just to watch between SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet? Is it unfair to put SJ in there?
Who?
SGA. I feel like
Oh,
he's just
SGA.
clearly the best player.
Yeah, it's unfair. It's
What
unfair.
about Giddy, Jalen Williams, and Chet? Of those three,
You see, here's the thing: they're all fun. Like
They're so much
that's a
fun.
legitimately good question. For me, I'd go Jalen Williams, Chet, and then Giddy. But
Ooh.
Giddy's like an 8 out of 10 on the fun scale for me.
Yeah, I might go Giddy, Jalen, then Chet. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I don't want
They're
to.
all good.
I don't
And
need to pit
Jalen
them
Williams,
against
by
each
the
other.
way,
It's just all good feels in Oklahoma.
you
City
made a
right
joke about the Jalen Williams Rookie of the Year thing, but I don't think it's a joke. I think it was
he was great.
He was unbelievable. His last 2 months of the season were like almost all-star caliber.
Yeah.
And you assume he picks up from there. I mean, he's a great player. He's fun.
That was number 2?
That was number 2.
Wow.
Number 1. I'm telling you, every year I have a guy, Wes. Every year I have a guy. You know who my guy is this year? I'll give you a hint. He shot 90% true shooting in the preseason. He had 0 turnovers, averaged 17 points in 16 minutes, and he's coming off of a gold medal. Talking about Franz Wagner.
Oh,
You're talking about Paolo Banchero, the reigning Rookie of the Year, and his running mate, Franz Wagner, the Orlando Magic. Ladies and gentlemen, 5 nationally televised games? What are we doing, NBA? Just 5? They're trying to hide Franz from the people. The people want Franz. Give him Franz. He's going to be the League Pass darling, the League Pass team this year.
I love it. If Paolo plays a little bit of 5, that's even better when they go full out. Their draft picks weren't like they're kind of lukewarm in there in Orlando about their draft. But like if Howard or Black Pops or something, like okay, one more player that's fun. I think this is going to be a Jalen Suggs bounce back year. I still haven't sold my property on Jalen Suggs Island.
Okay.
I'm with you on Orlando. I love them at number 1. I'm going to watch a ton of Magic games. Free idea for the Orlando Magic. $3 million idea. What are you doing on League Pass? Everybody's kind of putting their games on other places. You're Orlando, baby. Disney Plus is right there. Put your games on Disney Plus right next to Dancing with the Stars. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go, man. Orlando Magic. Must-see TV. That's the type of insight you only get from the Friday edition of Locked On NBA right there.
I know. I made a joke about NBA Hipster Awards and just that's what the last 15 minutes of this show was just geeking out on Franz Wagner and Jalen Williams. And
dude, all 12 of the Magic fans are going to be so pumped to hear this.
They're going to love us. We just made so many more friends. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Everydayers, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, Odyssey, or wherever it is that you get your podcast. The show's going to be back on Monday with the biggest stories from the NBA weekend, and the regular season tips off next week. So again, make sure you are subscribed for all the biggest games, the biggest news, everything you need to know. Until next Friday, you can find me over at Locked On Heat. Adam's going to be over in Locked On Nuggets. Have a great weekend.